Welcome back to another episode of Wellbeing Wednesday. This is our monthly segment here at Curricula Concepts that shows childcare providers and caregivers like you simple ways to support your own well-being, because taking care of ourselves is, in fact, taking care of others. Whether you're an early childhood educator, director, parent, or some just feels like a parent some days, you're sure to pick up tidbits of actionable advice about how to support your overall well-being and get back to feeling like yourself. I'm your host, Susanna Creed, a well-being coach here with the Be Well, Care Well Arkansas program. This is a Curricula Concepts program that is all about supporting the well-being of our wonderful child care providers and our child care heroes. So with summer rounding the corner, this month's theme, if you've probably seen it on our Facebook page and our Instagram, is vitamin N for nature. We always talk about vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin B, but what about vitamin N, of getting outside, especially now that we're able to be outdoors. The weather still is kind of not super humid and hot, so it's a nice time. And all month long, we will be sharing activities, tips, and tricks so that you can find ways to enjoy the great outdoors in a way that works for you. Because just because I like hiking doesn't mean everybody likes hiking. So we'll bring in a bunch of different ways, no matter how small or how big, that you can enjoy the great outdoors. In today's Wellbeing Wednesday episode, we are over the moon to welcome our guest, Miss Sarah Lane, the state's first farm to school and early childhood education program coordinator for the Arkansas Department of Agriculture. So AKA, she's awesome. And she's the first doing this job. So we're so excited that she was willing to come on with us today. Just a little bit more about Sarah before I kick it over to her. She was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. So I am also from the West Coast, but on the other side from California. So nice to have another native here. And she graduated from Washington State University with a bachelor's in not just biology, but also Spanish language. So she moved to Arkansas in 2016. Girl, I just realized we were Arkansas the same year. Oh my gosh, I moved in 2016 as well. Anyways, and she joined the Arkansas community through FoodCorps at the Conway Public Schools. So FoodCorps is also an AmeriCorps program, which I will not bore y'all with how much I love AmeriCorps. I will save that for later, but it is amazing. She developed a passion for engaging with farmers, growing school gardens, and leveraging systems to ensure sustainability in farm to school programs. She's even taught a nature preschool right here in Little Rock. Now that sounds cool. I really wish I could have gone to that type of preschool. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Miss Sarah. She is going to share a couple of tips that we can use starting today, starting this month, to experience the outdoors and kind of grow our own garden. So I will finally be quiet and kick it over to you, Miss Sarah.
Thanks so much, Susanna, for that great introduction. I'm so glad to be in Arkansas. It's definitely become my home state. Been here for 5 years now, so it's really exciting. So I've been in this role as the farm to school coordinator for almost 2 years at the Arkansas Department of Agriculture. And what is farm to school? It can be a lot of things depending on every school environment. And we say a school is wherever a child is learning, right? So that's our ECEs, that's our early childhood education providers and centers, home-based or center-based. It's also our schools, alternative learning environments like juvenile detention centers and other spaces. And so schools, they can decide to start a school garden, for example, where kids get hands-on opportunities to learn about gardening and farming, grow foods, and then taste what they've cultivated. We also talk about education as the second pillar of farm to school, where kids learn more about gardening, more about nutrition, cooking, agriculture, and it's tied into their standards that they need to meet and learn about as they grow older. And lastly, the third pillar is local procurement. And so that's just when we make sure that kids eat local foods, Arkansas grown foods in school cafeterias or kitchens or as snack. So really what's happening is kids are getting this triple win, right? They're learning about gardening and farming. They're learning about how that ties into nutrition and education. And then they're also tasting and eating those foods. So it's definitely something, if you can't tell, that I'm really passionate about. And it did all start with FoodCorps, like you're mentioning. I love AmeriCorps, and I wouldn't have found farm to school, wouldn't have found this position if it wasn't for that opportunity. So
awesome.
yeah, it's been so great. So today I wanted to talk about how to start a garden at your house or your school with really anything that you have laying around that might be considered trash or maybe you want to reuse. So I brought with me today just a little plastic container. Sometimes you find these as like a to-go container from different restaurants, or you can buy these. I've also seen people use plastic swimming pools, milk cartons, little tin cans. There are so many different buckets, really, or containers that you can grow food in. So today we're going to grow, yes, exactly, just like that, a little planter. Perfect. So one of the first things you need is just a container, right? If we're starting a little home garden or growing a plant. This one's awesome because it's clear. So it means that I can see the roots as they're growing. I can also see if the soil is too dry or too wet. So that's really an awesome educational opportunity for students and adults. The first thing you want to do is get your container, and you want to poke a hole in the bottom of it. We want to make sure that the water can drain through. Otherwise, you'll have standing water in here, and you might overload the soil and might affect the root development. So it's really helpful to poke some holes. If your container, yeah, perfect. You got it, Susanna. Nice. Yeah, so for this,
I'm doing this as we go with my planter.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'll just like poke some holes using a pen or a little knife in the bottom here to make sure that water can drain through. After that, I want to get my soil. Okay, so second bucket, went and grabbed some soil from our garden that's outside our department building that's growing a bunch of pollinators. So the soil is really dark. It's not compact. It has some roots in it, some other organic matter. So I can tell it's going to be a great medium for things to grow in, because if your soil is really orange or red or clayey, it's going to be really compact. And when you put water in it, the water really won't soak into the soil, and that's what you want for good root and plant development. So this is great. You can see, like, as I'm reaching in, it's got some give to it. It needs a little bit more water so it sticks together, but it's nice and loose.
So I have a quick question actually about that, because that last year, so of course, during 2020 pandemic, house planting and growing our own food, it became very, very helpful and, something we could do at home. So I started and I was like doing well, green thumb, everything was fine. And I don't know what it is, but picking a soil is very difficult. So I will tell you my novice of, I'm just going to go to Walmart or Target and pick potting soil. But I have kind of like an herb garden that's outdoors. I have 2 herbs that are indoors, and then I have some indoor plants. And I don't know what happened this round, but regular potting soil was not making the plants happy. And I have no idea how to even go about figuring that out. So can you maybe talk about, like, if someone's having trouble, like either the soil won't dry out or their plants aren't happy, what can we do as beginners to try to, like, what keywords or what do we need to look for soil?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so I've had those problems before too, of like, what soil do I get? There's so many options. For this kind of container, any plants, like potted plants that you have inside your house, you're going to want to go with potting soil. It's a little bit looser, has more organic matter in it. So that's what you're going to go for here. Outside, you can get kind of garden soil. It's going to be a little bit more compact. You can mix in some compost with it to give it lots of nutrients. I like to do kind of a half and half mix outside, where I have my soil that maybe I bought in a bag, or maybe I bought from like a local nursery and I got a big load of soil. And then I do the other half as compost, which is just broken down, food and garden waste that has all that nutrition that the plants need to grow. So that's what I do. I leave a lot up to, Mother Nature to take care of my plants, and I don't always do it right still.
Yeah.
But if you feel overwhelmed, you can contact your local extension office. They do soil tests. You can like talk to them about maybe what's going wrong with your plant, and they might be able to, like, you could send a picture potentially to them and maybe they'd be able to help you more, but they can definitely let you know about your soil. If you're growing something outside, if you need to add different like nutrients or minerals to it to make the plants grow better.
Yeah, I think you might have just saved, 20 some odd of my plants in the future, because I didn't even know that was an option. And one of the things, either we'll connect about this type of resource or sometime throughout this month, because again, that vitamin N nature, and we will be posting a lot of different well-being tips. So kind of going to what Sarah's talking about of composting, a lot of times that also is kind of confusing of like, where do I even start? So don't worry, keep checking back on the Curricula Concepts page. If I can't find it before the end of this live stream, we will make sure to have a couple of posts about, kind of composting 101 and something for beginners, because, you just think, oh, you just put all the peels in the thing and it's done. And sometimes it is that simple and sometimes it's not. So we'll definitely make sure, because I love the half and half, and I have not tried that. I've always done like one or the other. And actually, no, when I have done half and half, because my friend had some peat moss last year, and then I had some potting soil from Target, and I put those two together and the plants were happy. But this year I used only the potting mix. So for those of you who are listening, it's a mix. Maybe
yeah, it could be the mix, because the compost is going to cover your base and make sure that like if your soil was really clayey, it's going to be adding in some air, adding in some space, and adding in some nutrition, which are all the things that the plant needs. So really compost is a great, just like, I don't know what's going wrong with my soil, let me add some compost. Maybe that'll help.
Okay. And for the so it's the University of Arkansas Cooperative Extension State Office. Is that what you would recommend?
I'd recommend your local county office.
Okay.
So you'd call the Pulaski County one, or if you're in Saline County, call the Saline County Extension Office.
Perfect. So just a heads up for everyone who's watching live, I'm going to, yes, there we go. I just posted the link, hopefully. Still working on how all this goes, but the list of counties for the extension office, I know I'm going to save that for sure, because I need to be making some calls and sending. So also, I apologize, Sarah, if I'm looking down. Like I said, I'm still working on the technology here. So I'm responding to comments on my phone or looking for links based on what we're talking about.
I love it.
But yeah, so continue. I will stop with my questions for now.
Yeah, cool. So just to recap, we had our random container that we had at our house. We made sure to poke some holes in the bottom for good water drainage. And then I filled a second container up so you can kind of compare. This is about how much soil you want to put in it. You could go all the way to the top if you want. You're totally able to do it. I left about an inch. You want to make sure, though, to fill the majority of the container up, because otherwise, especially if the container is not clear in this case, you might be shading out some of the sun of that little plant growing if I only had it filled this far. In my case, because it's clear, the sun can still get through, shouldn't be an issue, but filled mine almost all the way up. So that loose, good draining soil. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my finger, because the soil is not compact at all. It's going to be really easy. Just going to make a little indentation and kind of see right in the center. And I would sprinkle a few seeds in here. Today, I wanted to talk more about herbs, because this would be a great container to grow in your kitchen window or some sort of sunny window that you have in your house. So you would want to sprinkle in just like a handful of herb seeds, like cilantro, for example. Dill is another good one. Mint, basil. I think, Susanna, you're showing me you have basil, right?
I'm so excited. I'm like, this is my stupid cheesy smile, because basil and I had a very strained relationship. And by that, I mean, we had no relationship when I started last year. Everyone was like, basil grows like a weed. And I was like, I don't know what happened. My mint is loving life and always has. But my basils were like, ugh. But this one, I'm so excited, because usually I get them like already started, but this one was from seeds. Look at them. And they actually smell like basil. So if you haven't tried growing a plant and you keep trying and you succeed, I swear the Rocky theme needs to be playing, because you just feel like you're on top of the world. You're like, I grew life.
Yes, it's so great. Well, and actually hold yours up again, so you can see that you probably sprinkled, I don't know, maybe like 10 basil seeds in there, so you can see all of each one made its own sprout. So if you wanted one of those to grow bigger, I'd recommend only planting maybe 2 seeds in here, because that way what's happening is under the soil, all of those plants are competing for the soil space you have and the water and the nutrition. So one of the things that plants need to survive is space. And when you have a ton of seeds right next to each other, they have less space and they don't grow quite as big. But maybe that's what you want. And in the case for herbs like cilantro, it's totally fine to sprinkle in a good handful of seeds. But if you wanted a big bushy basil plant, you might only put 1 in here and know that this container is not that huge, but it will still get pretty big.
That's so interesting because I mean, they were growing like crazy and now they've just kind of evened out. They're not getting bigger. And you would think, you know, if you look at Pinterest or Instagram or wherever with, you know, it's like all these giant bushy things, you would think put more seeds and it becomes thicker. But it sounds like actually that's the opposite.
Yeah, you actually can do something called thinning, where you will cut, like just snip off or really gently pull out some of those so that maybe you only have like 3 or 2 total in that plant. But I've grown basil before in a small like mason jar like this before, and I had planted way too many seeds too, and I tried to pull them out and grow them bigger, but I think that I left them in the small container too long. They really needed more space when they were younger, and so they never got big and bushy like the ones you might find at the store. So, but either or, you know, maybe you want a lot of little seeds. Yeah.
Okay. Learning something new every day.
Right. So then I sprinkled my few seeds in here. You know, in the case we were just talking about, if you want bigger basil, just do a couple seeds in here. I always like to do at least 2 seeds, because then I know that if one doesn't germinate or sprout, I have the other one as a backup. So always recommend at least putting 2 seeds in the hole. So cover it back up with soil. You know, I didn't make my hole very deep. If you want to be really exact, you can look on the back of your seed packet and it'll tell you the depth. You can get a little ruler out. But I honestly just, you know, make a little hole and cover it back up with some soil. And the last thing I'll do is make sure to put some water on this. So, you know, you'll have the holes in the bottom, so it's totally fine if you give it a lot of water to start with. You want to make sure that the soil has a lot of water in it. And so I would just pour some water right on top. Make sure to really saturate all the soil. Try not to disturb right where I planted those seeds. And then I would see water dripping out. At that point, I know that the soil is pretty well saturated. And you can start to see a bit without the glare, but I can see that the water ran down my container over here, but on this side, it doesn't have that same dark look. That's what's great about a clear container, is you can really see where the water is going. And once this starts to grow, I can see the roots and see how it's fitting, how much space it needs, if I need to transplant it maybe out into my garden outside, maybe get a bigger pot if I want to grow it bigger. But just in the case of some kitchen herbs, this is a great size to get some herbs growing. And that's it. Put it in a sunny window and you got it.
Wow. So also, I just got this awesome message and I'm going to see if I can show you all. But Ashley, who's with us today, she had mentioned, you know, an old bathtub, and she wasn't kidding. She did a whole old bathtub. Look at that. Look how beautiful those are.
That's incredible.
I know.
Way to reuse something.
Right. I feel like this is absolutely like life and garden goals right now. So yeah. And so the other thing, at least, and I don't know, maybe you have some encouraging words for our for any of our listeners or watchers today, or if they're watching the replay, who like me don't always get it right, and they have plants that look like this. Yeah. This is my cilantro. This was a beautiful cilantro, and then I literally don't know what happened. And sometimes, you know, when you're, especially, it's like a little life thing. Sometimes you try to grow something and it just doesn't work. So I don't know, what do you have for us of like, we kind of have a failed experiment? Like, how can we go about like not letting that discourage us? I'm sure that you've had that experience. So
all the time. I mean, I have been gardening for many years now, and I still make mistakes and learn new stuff every year. So I would say just don't give up. I know that can be hard, but it happens even to experienced farmers. You know, you have a weather condition, and all your whole crop's then destroyed. So it happens even to the most experienced farmers that are out there, even experienced home gardeners or homesteaders. So yeah, if a plant dies, just get some more seeds, try again, make sure that it's in that sunny window, make sure you're giving it water, but not too much. A tip on that is I sometimes will stick my finger in the soil, and if it feels wet and cold, I know that it's good. I don't need to add any more water. If it feels dry, kind of compact, not cold, I'm going to add some water. And especially plants inside, you really don't have to water that often because they don't have things like, they don't have as much of a change in the temperature because we all have, our heaters and our air conditioning. There's not as much wind inside, so the soil's not drying out as much. So I've realized that sometimes I overwater my indoor plants, and I've been really trying to cut back on that. And only when I start to see that the soil is completely dry, maybe I notice that one leaf is getting a little different color, I'm like, okay, I'm going to water them, put them outside, let them drain out, and then I'll bring my plants back inside. So just don't give up.
Yeah. So the funny part about that is because, again, the beginning of my journey to now, I kept my plants pretty moist in that sense, where it's like, okay, if it feels like dry to the touch, and like if I kind of put my finger in up to about here and it's still dry, okay, I need to water it. And I water it, just like kind of give it a nice little shower there, and then let it drain out entirely in the sink, and then I put it back. Well, this year that has not been working out super well because some of my plants are just staying too wet, and also some of them just like dry out so fast because, I mean, they're inside, but yeah, we have the air conditioning and we have the fan going, and that can be drying things out. And I was talking to one of my friends about, like, I don't know why some of my plants are dying. Like, I just keep trying everything. And they said, well, honestly, there's a possibility they might be just too moist. Just put them outside, let them dry out completely, and then, try again. And so with the rain, I actually put them outside now, so they're kind of naturally getting watered. And I'm hoping that if they needed water, it kind of does that, or it drains more. And then I'm going to give them like a full day to just dry out. And that's almost like, I don't know if you would say it's like a mini reset button kind of thing.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good to do that. You really want to give your plants a heavy water, not just like a little sprinkle. You want to make sure they're fully watered, and then exactly what you said, that the soil dries out. It also encourages the roots to grow more because they're going to be growing towards where the water is. And so if you're constantly watering your plants and the soil is always moist, like, why would the roots feel like they need to grow and make the plant stronger and healthier? So totally love your idea about putting them outside. That's what I do with my plants. However, I do live a little outside Little Rock, and I had some deer come by and just chomp all of my house plants. So if you live in the city, great idea. But maybe if you live out in the country, bring your plants back in the night so that deer and rabbits aren't eating your house plants that you've worked so hard on.
Yeah, that is true. Luckily, we are pretty high up still. I know that happened last year, so I love tomatoes, and I was so excited to grow tomatoes. And we had 3 that were just like budding, and they were great, but they needed just a bit more time. And then almost right away, we were about to go get them, and all of them were gone. And we were like, the squirrels, because we have a deck. So that helps. But apparently squirrels are nasty little buggers on that one. And also I just got an awesome picture from Tori. So Tori is sharing her compost pile.
Looks great.
Yeah, so it's got a really good starter there. I think I might try one of those, what's it called? Like the mini compost things that you go on your countertop compost, that sort of thing. Ease my way into it, as I don't know what I'm doing yet.
And it takes so long to break down food waste into compost. So when I'm growing stuff in my garden, I normally buy my compost. I've never really gotten enough from just myself, and it just takes so long. But I still compost my food scraps and let it turn to dirt. But yeah, feel free to buy some compost in the case of growing stuff outside.
Yeah, that's really true. Luckily, I don't necessarily have compost ready, but networking with your friends and like your local community garden. I mean, I just thought about that and I was like, why would I have to buy compost when we could kind of community wise come together and be able to share those resources and that compost and see, do they have any extra? Or, you know, can I purchase it directly from a community garden and support again that local initiative and local food growth and everything?
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, I know that there's some community gardens that do that in Little Rock, where you can bring in food scraps and take home some compost. So yeah, check out your neighborhood, see if there's one nearby that maybe you can partner with on this.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we're almost at time, actually. We've just been going back and forth. And I do just kind of want to check in with everybody who's watching now. If there's any questions that you all have, I mean, you heard me, I was peppering her with all of my plant questions. So if you have any, please feel free to type them in the chat, or even if you want to come back and rewatch, you can type those in, and then we'll be able to respond kind of on the back end with different resources too. But I did just want to see and give everybody a moment if there's any questions right now. A couple people still on. Just looking down at the comments. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm not seeing any questions as of right now. So I guess we did a good job. Yay.
Yes, it was all
and I'll
clear.
let you know. What was that?
Guess it was totally clear. Everyone knows how to grow their own herbs. No.
Exactly. Everyone's going to have an herb garden. It's going to be great. It's going to be Oprah with herb gardens. You get a garden, you get a garden, just all over. I know I'm going to definitely check some of my water for my plants. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Ashley. No questions, but this was great. Thank you so much. So Sarah, I will let you know if we have any other questions that are very specific. I also, if anybody does have questions or want to reach out to Sarah, her contact information, her email and her work number are there, as well as the website to learn more about Farm to School. So I do just want to say, you know, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today and just taking time out of your busy day. You shared a lot of really great tips for how to help us get our daily dose of vitamin N. We also want to give a special shout out to our partners at the U of A's Early Care and Education projects. They are the ones who have helped bring us Be Well, Care Well that started in South Carolina. And now we are able to offer Be Well, Care Well in Arkansas, thanks to their help. So before we sign off, I got to do the plug. Make sure to follow Curricula Concepts, as well as the Arkansas Department of Agriculture, if you want, on Facebook and Instagram, so you don't miss a thing from any of our platforms. If you like today's show, please share it with friends, family, coworkers. And if you are a childcare provider, director, and you want to learn more about enrolling in Be Well, Care Well, which will help give you support and ideas for how to support your staff's well-being, because again, taking care of ourselves really is taking care of others. And so if you're interested in that, you can visit our website. I'll put the information down below here. There we go. So you have the website for Curricula Concepts to go visit there if you want to learn more. And also my email address is there. So feel free to send me an email or anything. I know Sarah was willing to share her information as well. Sarah, do you have any closing things you want to share before we?
Yeah, thanks so much for this opportunity, and would love to connect with anyone who wants to start a garden, who wants to start school gardens or start buying local food and making sure their kids have access to it. Just let me know.
Awesome. Well, this has been another wonderful Wellbeing Wednesday. I'm your host, Susanna Creed with the Be Well, Care Well Arkansas program, and I'm wishing you well.